Hello, everybody. Looks like we have a few people on. Thanks for joining today. My name is Shayla Andreas. I'm with True Coach, and with me is Hanna Pierce, who's the Senior Manager of Community for Novo. She's going to be our speaker today. You'll hopefully learn a ton from her to take away with your own businesses. We're going to give people about a minute or so to join until we start going through the deck here. So if you could, in the chat, let us know if you have worked with Novo in the past, if you've heard of them, or if you haven't, if you're a Novo newbie, let us know that too. Looks like,
And I also just posted a question asking, where is everybody from?
Novo newbie. All right. I love that. I think I just coined a term for you, Hanna. I am in Houston. Hannah's in St. Louis. Gotta love technology connecting us everywhere. Okay, well, thanks, Daniel, Patrick, Paul, for hopping in. Let's go ahead and I guess I can at least move through the intro materials, Hanna, if you want me to, and then we can move on. Hopefully that'll take us a minute or two and more people will come on. So if you could go to the...
Yeah.
Sure. So True Coach has partnered with Novo to bring our True Coaches and True Coach community resources that are beyond just the software itself. So that's how we're here today and why we're here today and how Hanna got to us. So we want to make sure that you guys are getting all the resources you need to be successful. So if you can move to the third slide, Hanna.
Absolutely.
So here's what we'll go over today. There's Hanna's going to cover 7 steps for 2023, how to get you organized for your successful business. We will have a Q&A at the end and also a poll at the end. If you could all please, even if you don't have a question, if you could please participate in that poll, that would be great. And we're going to learn about the Novo platform and how you could use that in your day-to-day. So we have a very seasoned presenter and Novo rep here with us today. Hanna likes to shop locally, supports small businesses, so she knows what you guys are going through, and just is here to talk about Novo and what exactly we are gonna be able to glean from this. So Hanna, if you want to take it away, I'll come back. Everyone, I'll take note of your questions as they come through, and then we'll do them at the end. And then I'll try to answer some if I can throughout the chat. So I will see y'all in a little bit. Take it away, Hanna.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here with you all, and I'm very excited that Novo has had the opportunity to partner with True Coach to bring you all, hopefully, what is a very helpful way to kickstart your 2023 year, whether you are a seasoned business owner or you are just getting started with your business. We've got some 7 tips for you today that should really help you get ahead of the curve when it comes to your financial plan and structure for your business. So without further ado, let's kick it off with step 1. So step 1, first thing I tell every person, whether they've been in business for a very long time or they're just starting out, separate your business and personal finances. You're going to want to make sure you have an account just for your business finances. And top tip, just because you bank personally with one platform doesn't necessarily mean that that platform is going to be the best resource or best servicer for your business. Business and consumer bank accounts require different needs, so make sure you understand what the needs of your business are when looking for that banking partner. And the importance of separating your business and personal finances. So I've been to hundreds of networking events. I've connected with many business owners over the years. And one of the key things I pick up on is that they don't necessarily understand the importance of keeping your business finances separate from your personal. It's actually really important, and it's important for several reasons. Primary one, it makes it a lot easier when it comes time for you to do your taxes and to file your income statements, things like that, to have those expenses and incomes separated. This doesn't matter if you're a sole prop, an LLC, a corporation, any of the above in terms of your business structure, you should be separating your business and personal finances. Now, it's okay if your finances are already intermingled and you're maybe asking yourself the question like, oh, did I mess up? Should I have been doing this all along? Super common for individuals to not realize that they need to have these separated. And there's no better time than now to start separating them. In fact, Novo's got a freebie tool for you to use. We'll be getting access to that on the next slide. So get your phones ready so you can scan that QR code. But this tool is going to help you separate or categorize your expenses if you have been intermingling the two, so that now you can have them separated, know what was business versus personal. And then also moving forward, you're going to start having your business and personal finances fully separated. You're going to have that bank account just for your business and then also for your personal. So this kicks us off with the first goal. Every single one of my 7 tips comes with a goal that I have for you as a business owner this year. And those goals are going to be highlighted in the top of our slides with that lovely blue target. The goal is separate your business and personal finances this month. All right. Second, of course, the categorization tool. Hopefully you have your phones ready to go. Go ahead and scan that QR code to get access to the categorization tool. This is a pretty simple tool. It is just a Google Sheet, but it is very powerful in its functionality. So I encourage everybody to open it. Once you have it open, there are instructions on how to use it, but you're going to want to make a copy of it. Once you have a copy of it, you'll have an editable version, so you'll be able to use this tool for your own business. All right. And I actually see quite a few people in the tool, which is fantastic. I have the tool pulled up on my screen and I can see as people are grabbing that code and taking a look at it. So that is very exciting. Thank you. Step 2, create your financial plan and budget. 2023 is the year of growth. Invest in your company's growth. This, again, whether you're a brand new company or you're already established, make this the year of intention that you are going to expand, develop, grow. So I've got a couple methods for you to do so. First and foremost, I'm going to ask that you think about a financial plan. And a financial plan doesn't have to be anything elaborate or crazy. It's really just a goal you want to set for yourself. Maybe it's, I will increase my revenue by 10% this year. And then now you need to come up with the steps that you're going to use or try out to accomplish that goal. Keep in mind, this may not make it to 10%. Those goals, those steps that you give yourself, you're going to be trial and error. You're going to try different things to see if you can achieve that financial goal you're setting. But having a financial goal in terms of your growth is significantly better than having nothing at all. So definitely make a financial plan and strategy for how you're going to implement that plan. Additionally, budget. A good financial plan is supported by a budget and vice versa. Without a budget, you definitely don't have a chance of increasing your revenue, or maybe the goal is to reduce your expenditures because you want to get more profit from the current revenue you already have. Either way, you're going to need a budget so that you can stay on top of your expenses and your finances month over month over month. Novo's really fond of the profit first model. It's an entire webinar just to go through the model and talk about what profit first is. But the idea of profit first essentially takes the concept that your revenue minus your profit equals your expenses. Now, that sounds a little bit different than our typical model that you see businesses use when it comes to assessing their profit year after year. Typically, or the traditional model used, is your revenue minus your expenses equals your profit. Profit first essentially says, that's kind of silly. We should be paying ourselves first. I mean, we teach our children to pay themselves when we give them an allowance or they earn a little money. We say, hey, put a percentage of that away somewhere else, and then you get to use the rest. So why not build that into our business models? Your revenue minus your profit equals your expenses. And this is the kind of budgeting model that I love using for a business because it guarantees that you're prioritizing paying yourself, which is so important. You're the owner, you're the operator, you're wearing many, many, many hats. You need to treat yourself correctly and make sure you are compensated. It also takes a look at your profit and encourages you and forces you to really say, my business will be profitable this year. And after I pay myself and after I set aside my profit, then I know what's left for my expenses. And my expenses have to fit within that budgeted amount. So that's a pretty high level overview of Profit First. There's a fantastic book about it. If you want to go read Profit First, I definitely encourage you to do so. But our goal for this slide is going to be reconciling your accounts and reviewing your budget monthly. Another big thing I hear from business owners that always blows my mind is they find reconciling and budgeting and their bookkeeping stressful and annoying, and it takes so much time. Well, when I dig in a little bit further, and the reason they feel that way is because they leave it until the end of the year, or they only do it quarterly, or they do it just because they have to for tax season. Don't put yourself in that position. The longer you just let those expenses sit and you're not categorizing them, you're not reconciling, you're not staying on top of your accounts, the harder it is to make those reconciliations later. Because if there's a discrepancy or a transaction you don't recognize, you are racking your brain for what was that expense, versus if you are consistent. And I have the goal here to be monthly, but I would actually encourage you to do it weekly. But if you can build in consistency into your routine to do your budget, it's going to make your life so much easier down the road. On to step 3. Focus on expenditures and ROI. Now, this is a little bit of an expanded element from the slide we just looked at, budget. But when it comes to setting a budget, you're maybe thinking, okay, well, if I'm paying myself and then setting aside profit first, I may not have the money I need to cover my expenses. This is where I want you to focus on your expenses and ROI this year. I want you to make sure the money you're spending is giving you the best return. So take a moment to analyze deeply, what is it that you are spending money on, and is it a good return for your business? There are a lot of areas where businesses spend money and just say, oh, the business will cover it, or that's a write-off, or, business expense, woo. And then they're not actually getting a great return on that transaction, on that expense. And that cuts into your profit. It cuts into what you can pay yourself. It cuts into the liquidity of finances you have for growth in your business. So I really want you to focus on your expenditures and your ROI. And doing a budget and keeping track of your budget weekly or at least monthly is a very good way to stay on top of this, because when you are focused on that budget, when you're looking at your expenses and your transactions consistently, you're really kind of encouraging yourself to think about, should I have spent that money? Or maybe there's another way I could accomplish the same thing with a little bit lower cost. So this brings us to our third goal, which is pick one area of your business to focus on ROI. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of story. I was formerly a business owner. This is a little bit embarrassing, but I was in business for 3 years before I actually knew what ROI meant. So if you happen to be in the same boat I was, ROI stands for return on investment. Essentially, the concept here is for every dollar you put in, I want you to try and make sure you're getting $2 back. And there's a lot of areas you can focus on ROI. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself. This is just a goal for 2023. So you're going to pick one area of your business to focus on ROI. I've got some suggestions here that are common ones for people to start with. Your marketing dollars, the expenses you're spending on inventory, if you have any, your software costs, and even maybe staffing costs, again, if you have staffing costs. Okay. Step 4, follow accounting best practices. So I'm not an accountant. Chances are most of you are not accountants or trained to be accountants either. If you are, congratulations, use that skill. You are that is one of the top skills that I wish I could just give everybody, because it would make our lives so much easier. But I don't have that superpower. I'm unfortunately not a fairy godmother. So the best I can do here is really encourage you to follow accounting best practices. Start using a bookkeeping tool. Again, I've got some recommendations here. We've got Wave, Xero, QuickBooks. All of these tools are actually tools that integrate really, really well into Novo. So again, Novo is a checking platform for small businesses, but we're so much more than just checking. We are really a platform for the financial management of your business. Because of that, we have a lot of partners that we worked with, like Wave, Xero, and QuickBooks, that we can integrate directly into your Novo account, and you can use from your account or set up links where the transactions automatically transfer between Novo to one of those bookkeeping platforms, making it a lot easier for you to do your bookkeeping. Within those bookkeeping tools, you're going to prioritize categorizing your expenses. Now, I mentioned categorizing your expenses earlier, but there's a little bit more to it than just saying this was a business expense or this was a personal expense. Categorizing your business expenses means putting those transactions under the correct area that they apply to. So for example, a software fee, an education fee, maybe it's the purchase of fuel for your vehicle that you use to commute back and forth to a physical location. That can be considered a business expense. And the reason the correct categorization of those expenses is important is because each of those areas has a different tax deduction or write-off or benefit that they may be eligible for come when you submit your taxes or at the end of the year if you're doing your taxes annually. And you can't easily keep track of those unless you are, again, staying on top of those expenses and marking them consistently. So another one is correcting discrepancies. Again, this is where the budgeting and reconciliation comes in, very important. If you notice that your bank account statement says one thing and your bookkeeping says another thing, your accounts are not reconciled. And it's going to be really, really, really stressful if you have to reconcile at the end of the year when there is the possibility of many discrepancies. The fewer discrepancies there are for you to figure out and correct, the easier your life's going to be, and the less stressful bookkeeping and accounting will be for your business. Analyzing your P&L. So P&L stands for profit and loss. I love a P&L statement. I think they're super fun because basically it's just very little one-page report that tells me, here's everything that my business spent money on this year. I spent X amount on employee benefits. I spent X amount on my softwares and fees. I spent X amount on my marketing dollars. That's pretty cool. You don't have to go super in depth with your P&L, but just familiarize yourself with it because it's going to help you understand what it means comes your annual P&L report when you need to know, okay, how did my business perform this year? Staying on top of accounts receivable and accounts payable. So again, this is another one that, at least for me personally as a business owner, for the longest time, I could never remember what the difference between the two was. A little bit embarrassing, but hey, I started a business without any business background, and there was a learning curve. And this is why I'm here today, because if you're in the experience where you're having the learning curve, I'm here to help you get through it a little bit quicker. So your accounts receivable, that's going to be a vendor or a customer owes your business money. That's the important one. If somebody owes your money, make sure you're getting on top of them and saying, hey, you've got an invoice due or you've got a payment due. Let's make that happen. And then your accounts payable, that's your business owes money to a vendor. Now, this one's also very important. You want to be the business that vendors love working with. And there's a couple of reasons for that. So if you know that you consistently have a bill due or a vendor that you need to pay, challenge yourself and be so good and diligent about making sure you're paying those bills or those costs. One of the biggest things you can take advantage of is as you consistently are on top of those payments and proving that you're a great customer for them over and over and over, you can leverage that relationship to possibly start getting some discounts, which is a really good way to improve your ROI. So staying on top of both of those is important for your business and your accounting best practices. Okay, so here's a fun fact for you all. SMB owners spend 75% of their time operating their business versus growing their business. 75% of your time is spent in operations, meaning you are the one running payroll, cleaning the floors, booking appointments, ordering inventory, whatever requires the operations of your business, 70% of your time is going into that, meaning there's very little of your time that's going into growth. I don't think that that's how we should be operating as business owners. Granted, we of course all know the term owner-operator, very, very normal business structure, and sometimes you have to be the operator, especially if you don't have other employees. But our next slide is all about how you can take advantage of automation to make sure that you are spending a little less time on the operations and a little more time on the growth. You always want to be pushing towards a little more time on the growth and the strategy, because that's what you're best at. You are best at coming up with, I have a business idea, here's what I want to do for it. And then you get into this situation where all you're doing is operating the minimum on that idea, and you're never getting to grow it or make it bigger or expand it. And that's really important. So invest in one area of your business to automate. Here is goal number 5, or step number 5. Build an automation. Automation is amazing. I love it. It's such an important tool and resource. And the biggest challenge you're going to face with automation is the initial setup. But think about it this way. If you take a little bit of time to set up automation now, you are saving yourself a huge amount of time, and time equals money, huge amount of time throughout the rest of your business operations where you're not doing that simple operational task time and time and time again. So some areas where automation can easily be built into your business: billing and invoicing, appointments and reservations, bookkeeping and transaction categorization, and marketing. There are tons of other areas out there, but these are some common ones. This is just to get the wheels going. And if you pick one of these, again, your goal is to invest in one area of your business to automate, then you are doing way better for yourself than you did at the beginning of this year when you didn't have any automation in place. So I have an example here for you for the power of automation. Booking appointments, scheduling, that's an operational function. So let's say as a business, you take 15 calls a day. Each one of those calls is 10 minutes. And this is just a call to set an appointment, get a new client, whatever it might be. You are spending 150 minutes per day on the phone, just scheduling appointments. 150 times 260 days. Honestly, for business owners, you're probably working more days, but 260 is the average amount of days in a 52-week year that most employees will work. So 150 times 260, we come out to 39,000 minutes, which equates to 650 hours. What can you do with 650 hours of time? That is so much time that you could be just spending on growing your business. 650 hours, if you price that at about $25 an hour, which typically most small business owners are compensating themselves around $40,000 to $50,000 a year, so $25 an hour, comes out to about $16,250 per year. Now, a tool that would let you build automated scheduling into your website, your business, is going to cost you way less than $16,250 per year. So again, that's the power of automation. It is an outstanding way to leverage technology in such a way that you are no longer focusing on just an operational aspect of your business. You are building in automation to give yourself time to focus on your growth. All right, step 6, meeting your customer expectations. Now, most of you probably don't know this, but I think this is a great statistic. 80% of consumers right now expect to be able to pay with a card. 80%. That is a huge amount of a customer base. Now, granted, I know True Coach has a way for businesses to pay for their appointments. I believe that's correct, right? True Coach has a payment processing functionality. Yes, thank you, Shayla. So this may not apply to you as much, but I do still think it's a really important thing to call out, because you want to make sure you're meeting your customer expectations on how they pay you. Also, very good strategy when it comes to anything in your business. The fewer clicks or the least amount of resistance you can give your customer, the better customer experience they're going to have, the more likely they are to return to your business, the more likely they are to refer to your business, and the less time you have to spend also on a more manual process. So hopefully you're accepting cards to accept payments for your businesses already. If you're not, definitely would encourage you to do so. Accepting cards is also a much more secure method than cash or checks. Also interesting facts, checks is the #1 form of fraud that is committed on small businesses in regards to financial loss. So personally, if I could do away with checks, I would just send them out the door. But checks are still a part of our system. I just might encourage you not to use them. You're meeting your customer expectations to provide a better customer service. Awesome. And that leads us to step 7, hire a good tax advisor. So I know it can be really scary to think, okay, tax advisors, accountants, like that costs a lot of money. Again, I'm not a trained tax professional. Chances are neither are you. This is one of those areas in your business that I think it is far more valuable to put a little bit of money towards than to potentially make a mistake on. Biggest reasons to work with a tax advisor or an accounting company is they can assist with things like payroll, giving you advice on your business structure. Should you continue being a sole proprietorship? Should you be an LLC? Should you be a corporation? They know tax credits and benefits, so they can much more quickly get you eligible and applied for those. You avoid costly mistakes. Believe me, going up against the IRS, if you make a mistake on your taxes or your submitted payments, is not something you want to experience. You can let them worry about tax laws. Tax laws change constantly, and that's at the state and federal level. So I would love to let somebody else just worry about the changing tax laws so that they can take care of it for me. And they can provide advice and help resolve bookkeeping complications. Also, key tip, if you are working with an accounting firm or a tax advisor, just double check with them to see if they have a bookkeeping benefit. Sometimes you can get extra perks, but just by working with them when it comes to how much your bookkeeping tool costs you. And that also is because that's the tool that they primarily work with. So, final goal, work with a tax advisor or an accountant. There is a difference between tax advisor and accountant. A tax advisor can submit your taxes for you. They can give you advice. They can work with you, but they typically are more or less hands-off unless it's time to do something with taxes. Whereas an accountant is more often than not the person who's actually doing your bookkeeping for you. That's going to break down to what is kind of your budget, but a tax advisor is definitely something I would recommend highly. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our webinar session in regards to our top 7 tips for organizing your business in 2023. I'm really excited for our Q&A session. Hopefully we've got some great questions from the group today.
Saying really so far. I did want to just call out, I put a note in there, if you guys haven't seen it, you can connect TrueCoach to Stripe to take payments for your clients. So you can automate and create recurring payments. So it just makes it a little bit easier on you monthly. It is for only US and UK coaches right now. We do have more countries coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Does anyone else have a question for Hannah? If I missed it, I'm going to go back and look real quick. I didn't see any. Can you do one-time payment on TrueCoach? Yes, you can, Josh. Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about how Novo can work with coaches or like PTs in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is a great time since it seems like we kind of all understood where I was going with the topics today, to talk a little bit more about why Novo and TrueCoach are a great partnership together. So I mentioned that Novo is a checking and financial tool management platform for small business owners. And we actually are a great platform to work with TrueCoach because TrueCoach, as you pointed out, works with Stripe. And Novo has a fantastic functionality called Boost that also works with Stripe. So imagine this, or you're probably used to this. Your client pays you via Stripe, and you know that you have that payment because you went to your Stripe dashboard and you can see what revenue you made for that day. And then it gives you an estimated delivery time frame of 2 to 3 business days, unless there's a holiday or weekend, and then it's longer, right? Now, Novo has a really cool functionality that works with Stripe, and it's only through Novo that you can do this, but you'd be able to enroll in what we call Boost. Essentially what that does is Novo recognizes from Stripe right away that your client has paid you, and that payment will be dropped into your Novo account in 1 business day. So your payments from your clients are actually able to come to you 1 whole business or 2 whole business days faster than your typical Stripe payouts to any other type of account. That's a really cool way for TrueCoach and Novo to be able to link together and offer you the best, quickest possible way to get paid, because as a business owner, I'm sure cash flow is very important to you. The sooner your cash is available, the better. Mm-hmm. Novo's also totally free. We have no fees or anything like that associated with our accounts. So we actually put out some interesting reports earlier this week where the bigger banks, we're talking Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, they all just released their reports. And in terms of hidden fees, processing fees, and all kinds of weird little tidbits they charge their small business groups, they made millions, if not billions this year on just little tiny hidden fees that realistically, they never probably should have charged in the first place. So I also love that about Novo. We are a totally free platform. And we have some outstanding tools on our platform that are normally only reserved for businesses that are pulling in huge dollar amounts, because those businesses are usually more profitable for the banks that support them. Also, weird fact, small businesses are lumped under consumer accounts for those bigger banks. And that means that you're probably not getting access to business tools because consumer accounts often don't have access to them anyways. So like I said, Novo has a lot of tools that are normally reserved just for huge businesses. We believe every business, especially small businesses, are the people that need to benefit from those tools more than anybody else.
Awesome. I agree too. Katie has a question. I'm going to send through a research on this too, but Hannah, I want to see if you could speak to it. I've had trouble setting up a separate checking account for my business as a sole proprietor because it asks for a tax ID number.
Yeah. So that's probably a very common thing many people have run into. So Katie, when you apply for a Novo account, we'll ask you if you're a sole proprietor, and we will not. She is dog sitting, so that was totally unexpected. I apologize, everyone. Katie, so we'll ask you if you're a sole proprietor. We'll ask you what type of business structure you have. And then you don't need to use an EIN number to apply for your Novo account. You can use your social security number, which is what you would put in place for a tax ID. Hopefully that helps. Okay, awesome. Well, since we don't have any other questions right now, which is absolutely fine. Is she okay? I hope so. I'm assuming that maybe there was somebody who came to the door or somebody that got the pup very excited. But yes, I'm sure she's absolutely fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, totally fine. There was a cat, dog situation. We are all good.
One of the things of, working virtually and having virtual events. Okay, awesome. Well, if it's okay with everybody, I'm actually going to jump into the Novo demo, and maybe if there's questions after the Novo demo, I can touch on those questions at that time too. But no reason for us to just hang out in a Q&A session if we feel like we're ready to move on. So let me switch the screen share real quick. There we are. Give it just a second to bring it up. Okay, fantastic. So welcome to the Novo dashboard. This is a Novo account that I use to do demos with. And there's a couple of things in this account that I'm really excited to point out to you all today that absolutely aligns with the 7 tips that we talked about. So again, key tips that I'm really encouraging you to focus on is ways that you can build in automation so that you as a business owner can spend more time on growing your business versus operating. Working on better account management when it comes to your bookkeeping practices. So categorizing expenses, things of that nature. And then looking at opportunities to separate your business and personal finances, because that's very important. So what we can see here is the basic the base dashboard. We've got the balance of this account, and the balance of this account has some money set aside into what Novo calls reserves. This is actually a budgeting tool that's built into the Novo platform that aligns with Profit First. So again, I talked about Profit First earlier. We'll go into reserves here in just a second. We can see all the recent activity in this account. So this is all the incoming transactions, and there has been no outgoing transactions thus far. We can make a deposit into this account. So Novo has free ACH transactions that are available to you to use at any time. And that's to help you bring money into your account or to help you send money out of your account. So if you want to link to your personal bank account because you use personal funds to fund portions of your business, you really should be making sure that you're sending those funds to your business banking account before you use them for business expenses. Don't just say, oh, I spent $500 from my personal account and that was a business expense. Put it into your business account and then use it. And you can do that with Novo very easily. You can see overall balance. So we've got some just quick snippets in regards to quick activity for you if you're curious of like, okay, how much money came in this month? How much money went out? And then we have our Novo apps and we have the dashboard that shows our reserves. Another really great feature about the Novo dashboard that I absolutely love, again, we're a financial management tool. So we have a customizable dashboard, meaning as you are integrating or working with different apps and tools for your business, you can have their widgets available on your dashboard. So this, for example, is a widget for Stripe. I currently haven't received any payments to my Stripe account because this is just a demo account, but had I received any payments, I would be able to see my gross sales, my disputes, my returns, so on and so forth, my available balance, and my in-transit balance. So that's the balance that's coming to my bank account. And remember, Novo and Stripe work together for Novo Boost. So I'm going to be getting this in-transit balance 2 whole days faster than I would if I was connecting Stripe to another platform where they send my funds to. Let's dive a little bit into our apps and integrations and also perks. So we work with tons of partners in regards to trying to provide as many resources and tools for your financial management as possible. You might recognize some of these, some of them might even be ones that you use, but there is a massive library here of tools that you can connect your Novo account with, depending on what you're trying to do. And we break them out based on areas of business that involve finances. So payroll, budgeting, accounting, so on and so forth. I also love the productivity section because who doesn't love being more productive? This is also where you start building in a lot more automation, but we have some productivity partners here as well. And then you also have Novo Perks. So Novo Perks is kind of our way of offering you a little extra benefit for being a Novo customer. Let's say you're really curious about checking out Constant Contact to try some email marketing. Well, with this perk, you have access to 50% off the Plus plan for the first 6 months. And again, that's a Novo exclusive perk. So just another way that Novo is really trying to help you think about that ROI. Where can you really take advantage of these things for your business so you can focus on your growth and start trying out what works? Let's also talk about reserves because we talked a lot about budgeting and the importance of having a budget for your business. So reserves is our budgeting tool. And essentially how this tool works is you can add a reserve or a budget item that you might want for your business. Let's say, oops, let me hide that. We don't need this anymore. So let's say we want to create a budget item for employee benefits or employee meals. So we're going to give it a name, and you have the ability to add funds to this from what is currently in your available balance, but you also have the ability to allocate percentages for future income. So what I love about this feature is, and I'm not going to create this reserve because I already have my budget items set up, but what I love about that feature is, as you can see here in my operating expenses, 30% of all my deposits in are going directly into this budget line, meaning I know every single month that I allocate 30% of my income to be what my operating expenses are. And when I have operating expenses, so let's say I'm in my activity section, when I have operating expenses that I need to pay for, I can click on that expense, select the category, because remember we talked a lot about categorization, and I can say this expense was for an office expense or for rent and equipment. So those are part of my expenses. I'm budgeting for them. And then as they are hitting my account as outgoing transactions, I'm dropping in here and selecting what they were applied to. And then one more little area of automation. So rent payments or marketing payments, things are consistent every single month over month after month from the same vendor. They're always going to fall into the same category. We have this ability to say only mark this transaction as that categorization, or mark all transactions from this vendor as that category, which that little bit extra automation built in is super helpful in terms of time spent. Yes, it takes seconds, but seconds add up to minutes and minutes add up to hours. We also have our invoices function, which is a fantastic tool if you are working with vendors that you constantly need to invoice. So you can create invoices directly from your Novo account. And we have the ability for invoices to be reoccurring as well as one time. So recurring invoices, again, another place automation can be built in. Like I said, I love automation. So you might say, okay, I want an invoice sent to this vendor or this customer on this cadence. Maybe it has an end date, maybe it doesn't. And you can very much customize these invoices to be what you need them for. So let's say we are a health coach and this is for a personal training session. Personal training, you work with this customer on a weekly basis. Every week they owe you $100 per session. I'm gonna do this as one. And I know that this is also a functionality of TrueCoach. So not necessarily saying that you would use this instead of TrueCoach because their platform is specifically designed for this. I'm just thinking of an example within your area that would be relatable. And there's no tax, but maybe there's a discount, not sure. And I want this to be set up to be reoccurring weekly. So now the invoice is going to go weekly and I don't even have to think about, did I send my invoice or did I send my payment that I need this customer to make to me? I already know it's happening. Novo also has virtual cards. So virtual cards are a really great tool when it comes to another form of payment that you can utilize. And this is what makes Novo very powerful as a bank account for small businesses early on, because typically you have to wait for your physical card to be delivered to you in the mail before you can start using that account. Well, with the virtual card, you have the ability to, as soon as your account's open and there's funds in the account, turn around and start using those funds where you need to. Virtual cards are also great for online payments, or if you have a subscription-based payment you need to make, like you can see here, this account had a subscription-based payment to Google for an app, and then they decided to cancel that subscription. Maybe there was something going on here where the subscription continued to charge them even though they canceled it. You can very quickly freeze this card until you get that resolved, so you're not stuck with that impending, are they going to deduct my account again this month? I just really need them not to do that. So another very helpful tool. And then we can take a look at account activity. So this is not necessarily going to be the same as P&L that you would get from a bookkeeping tool, but you can do some very similar things with the financial insights, which I believe is very beneficial. You can say, I want to see all my income for a specific time frame. Maybe it's month to date, year to date, quarter to date, last 7 days. And this tells you what your income or your spending was. You can also look at all activity for the last year. So there's the activity for this account for the last year, income coming in, spending, and then net cash flow. What a quick way for me to just very, very fast to go, okay, we're in the green, or I can do better. I'm going to set a goal for myself, or, we spent a little bit more this month than we maybe had coming in, so we need to adjust. But this makes it very quick, very easy for you to get some financial insights about your account activity. So that's kind of where I'm going to leave it with the Novo account, and we'll go back to our Q&A type session to see if anybody has any questions specifically about Novo or any of the areas we covered today.
Back, the dog has been put away. Not go to the cat. Apologize, everybody. I hope you're way before that you are now. Does anyone have any specific Novo questions for Hannah? Okay, cool. Yep.
No worries. Well, I've got another QR code for you. So with our Better Together partnership, Novo and True Coach, we have, you can scan this QR code to go learn more about Novo and even apply for a Novo account. Hopefully I've convinced you it's the account for you. But that was not the aim of today's webinar. The aim of today's webinar was to make sure that you feel ready to go into 2023 with a strong financial plan, with some goals and some objectives for you to aim towards. So please take advantage of the poll that we just posted. We'd love to know if this was helpful, not helpful at all. We really want to make sure this partnership continues to bring engaging, important content for you and your business that you can utilize and take advantage of.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, please answer the poll. We'll give you a few more minutes to do that, and then I guess we'll give you some time back for today. That was great. Thank you so much, Hannah. Appreciate having you today. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining and participating. It was really fun.
Good. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, stay safe out there. Go do your thing. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Cheers.